An SEC opponent enters the Liacouras Center for a close-fought game as the Owls try to make it 7 wins in 8 games.
Plus, the women's basketball team takes a ranked opponent down to the wire across the street at McGonigal Hall.
And I'm Sage Hurley. The Owls are going bowling. Find out how far down south the team is headed in December. OwlSports Update starts right now.
Hey there, Temple fans. Alongside Adam Cronali, I'm JJ Michalski, and today we close out the semester with a bang on OwlSports Update.
During the next 30 minutes, we'll take a look back at the past semester and into the future of Temple athletics. But first, JJ, let's go bowling. It's that time of year again, bowl season. The Owls came into the selection day eligible to play in a bowl game for the 6th consecutive season after notching 8 wins in 2019. Many thought the Owls could be headed down to Florida, but that wish did not come to fruition. OwlSports Update's Sage Hurley has more.
Bowl season, a trip south to play a meaningful game in December. For some of the Owls, a warm destination was their goal.
I want to play in Florida. Somewhere nice. I don't want to play nowhere cold.
I'm not really a big cold guy. That's why a lot of games I would try to not wear sleeves and stuff just to adapt. And it worked out for me a lot. Like Cincinnati was terrible.
But when bowl announcements came around on Sunday, proximity became more important than a tan. Although the Owls are headed south, they won't be headed to Florida. They will play in Annapolis, Maryland against UNC in the Military Bowl. This is Temple's 5th consecutive bowl game and 9th overall.
I'm from Ohio. I don't care. Yeah, we play in all weather, so yeah, I just got to perform and do whatever I got to do.
The team is looking for a much better result this year compared to last year's loss against Duke in the Independence Bowl under interim coach Ed Foley. With first-year head coach Rod Carey firmly seated at the helm, the team feels better this time around with the entire playbook.
Last year we was stuck to 4 or 5 calls. We just kept running the same exact calls, and everything was kind of scattered all over the place. But now it's we know the routine. We can keep our same routine. It should be really easier this time.
And of course, for some seniors, the game will be bittersweet.
It's a lot of emotions. I'm happy, I'm sad. I just want a couple more games with these guys. But at the end of the day, we got a job to do coming into this bowl game. We're going to come in here and we're going to attack every day. Whether we're playing in the cold or sunshine, we're going to come in here and attack.
The North Carolina Tar Heels finished the season 6-6 under head coach Mack Brown, putting them in 3rd place in the ACC. They are led by true freshman quarterback and ACC Rookie of the Year Sam Howell. This will be the first bowl game for North Carolina since 2016, as well as the first time that the two programs have ever met in their history.
And this is the 5th consecutive season Temple will be playing in a bowl game, and in Owls bowl history hasn't been so strong in the latest run. Back in 2015, the number 24 ranked Owls, led by Philip Walker, came up short at the Boca Raton Bowl, falling to Toledo 32-17. Temple didn't find the end zone until there was just under 3 minutes remaining in the game.
Let's revisit the last time Temple made the trek to Annapolis, matched up against Wake Forest in the Military Bowl back in 2016 when the Demon Deacons walked all over the Owls. You might remember watching that one. The Owls lost the game 34-26. It didn't necessarily feel like that close.
Then came that Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa, Florida, with first-year head coach Jeff Collins and Frankie Juice Newtile in at quarterback. The Owls dominated the FIU Panthers and didn't even allow them to score a touchdown in the game in the 28-3 win.
And finally, who could forget last year when the Owls hiked down to the Bayou, Shreveport, Louisiana, in a game that saw all sorts of bad weather and where Temple fell to Duke in the game 56-27, making Ed Foley 0-2 in bowl games as the interim head coach. With this bowl game, Rod Carey will have the chance to tie a program record 9 wins in his first season as head coach. The record is currently held by Steve Adazio, which he set in 2011.
Carey is 0-6 in bowl games and has a lifetime 1-7 record in December as a head coach. But for a more positive outlook on the Owls' chances in Annapolis, we welcome in Inside the Nest, Ray Dunn and Dan Wilson. Hey, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure to be here.
Welcome to the show, guys. So, Dan, looking at this whole thing, and Ray, what was the entire process of getting into the Military Bowl here?
Well, the process really for getting the Military Bowl for the Owls went back last week. It looked really early on that they were going to go somewhere in Florida. I think the Sean Bradley quote of, "I don't want to go anywhere cold," kind of reflected that sentiment within the team. Boca Raton looked like the most obvious bowl choice early on in the week, given that Temple probably fell within 5th to 6th in terms of teams ranking-wise within the conference. But then Memphis winning the conference championship, Temple was the only team that beat them. They get bumped up in the bowl order. Memphis goes to a New Year's Six, and then Temple goes ahead and grabs the Military Bowl against an ACC opponent, which is big. A Power 5 team for this American Conference. Playing one of those is huge for the Owls.
Yeah, and so Dan, what are the Owls getting in UNC?
Well, they're getting a stingy team. They're 6-6, as you mentioned, though. They have a tall task in front of them. Rod Carey 0-6, as you mentioned, lifetime in bowl games, 1-7 in December. But UNC, they have a freshman quarterback, Sam Howell, who was #1 in passing yards, 3,347. That led the ACC this year. This is a team that were 6-6. They never lost a game by more than a single possession. They took Clemson down to the wire. If you remember, 2-point conversion actually could have won that game for the Tar Heels. And this is another team that took Virginia Tech to 6 overtimes, 43-41. So this is a team, although they're only 500, they are in every single game they play. Do not expect them to go down easy.
Definitely.
All right, well, guys, the time is here. Let's hear your keys for this Military Bowl. Third time that the Owls will be playing in the Military Bowl in the last 10 years.
Yeah, for me, it's going to start slow down Sam. Sam Howell has been a force to be reckoned with all season long. 35 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. He grades out as a pro. Even as a true freshman, we can absolutely expect to see this guy play on Sundays eventually in his career. He's that good. Dan mentioned he led the ACC in passing yards. And just as former Temple head coach Jeff Collins and Manny Diaz, both of them saw him this year torch their defenses. And then moving along, my second key to the game would be that red zone defense. Bend, don't break. UNC is not very good at scoring in the red zone. In fact, they're 94th in college football in red zone touchdown percentages, just over 50%. If the Owls can limit them in the red zone, they're going to have a very, very good chance to beating this Tar Heel team.
I'll give you my keys here. A strong day for the secondary is definitely necessary. UNC has 2 receivers, De'Ami Brown and Daz Newsome. They're both top 40 in the country in receiving yards. Fun little nugget for you. They actually both have exactly the same amount of receiving yards at 947. They also combined for 19 touchdowns this year. So they have not just one, but 2 threats rather that the Owl secondary are going to need to keep an eye of. And I'll keep it on the theme that Ray just mentioned as far as red zone. The Owls need to convert in the red zone. That really cost them in that Cincinnati game, not 1, but 2 empty red zone trips. The Owls are ranked 114th out of 130 FBS teams, and just scoring in the red zone in general, not just field goals, getting any kind of points. That's just a 75% percentage for the Temple Owls, so they definitely need to get points and get points when they get down inside the 20.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on, both Ray Dunn and Dan Wilson. As we look ahead to this game, 16 players will be dressing for the last time with the cherry and white on December 27th, including 5 single-digit Temple Tough players. Isaiah Wright, Chappelle Russell, Sam Franklin, Sean Bradley, and Randall Jones are all either seniors or grad students. ESPN will be in Annapolis, but so will we. So be sure to follow us on OwlSports Update, where we'll have you covered throughout the day. Kickoff is scheduled for 12 o'clock noon.
And while we'll be there for the bowl game, Temple's defensive co-coordinator will not. Fran Brown is on the move once again, making this 3 schools in 3 years for him. Brown is leaving Temple for Rutgers as the secondary coach. Brown was one of 4 coaches retained by Rod Carey last December and led a Temple defense that was ranked 4th nationally in the red zone.
And another guy that we have to mention as a key in this game is Matt Hennessy. And Hennessy is already an honorary single-digit Temple Tough player on the offensive line, and now he's being recognized nationally as one of the best centers in the nation. The redshirt junior was nominated as a finalist for the Remington Trophy, where only 3 centers in the nation are picked. He's the first Temple player to ever be a finalist for this award.
Well, Adam, it's time that we take our first break of the day.
And when we come back, we'll check in with some men's hoops. Temple returned home for the first time in about a month. And of course, Aaron McKie is off to one of the hottest starts of any first-year head coach in Temple basketball history. Find out if that hot start continued against Missouri next on OwlSports Update. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Temple returned home to face Missouri on Saturday, where there was a hypnosis in attendance. And personally, I'd like to have a word, because the Owls did not look like themselves in this one. Early on, it's Quentin Rose breaking down a defender and getting the bucket on the duck and under, Rose led the Owls with 16 points on the night. Back the other way, and it's Missouri staying in it. Here it's Javon Pickett scoring 2 of his team-high 16 points with a soft touch. Final minutes of the first half, and it's Justin Hamilton off the no-look pass from Q, slamming for 2. Temple, however, trailed at the half 33-27.
Kicking things off in the second half now, the Tigers coming out of the locker room ready to go. Mark Smith hits his lone three-pointer of the night. Switching ends of the court, and Jake Forrester playing in his first game in the Leah Core Center. How about this hello? Slam that down, 2 points for the transfer, who finished with 11. Crowd back into it now as the lead goes back and forth, but Xavier Pinson nails this ballet move to hit the basket. The Owls fall to Missouri 64-54 thanks to 19 turnovers and 2 of 21 from three-point land. And so the Owls are now 2-1 at home this season.
However, the team still is off to a pretty hot start and one of the hottest in recent years. And Quentin Rose has certainly played a large role in that success. Joining us on the desk is OwlSports Update's Dion Stewart with more. Hey, Dion.
Thanks, guys. The Owls now sit at 6-2 on the year. And while they are getting contributions from many, it's senior co-captain Quentin Rose who leads the team in scoring and assists.
Quentin Rose, number 1 on the court, and this season so far, number 1 on the team in points per game at 15. Although the men's basketball team fell to the Missouri Tigers, pushing its record back to 6-2, Rose is still acting as a leader for the Owls.
Yeah, I depend on him for that, when we get out of sorts as a team, for his leadership on that side of it.
Rose has already been singled out this season, winning AAC and Big 5 Player of the Week honors earlier this season. But with leadership comes handling the peaks and valleys, which included Rose missing all of 7 of his three-point shots in Saturday's loss.
We got the shots we wanted. Our shooters just didn't, myself included, we didn't make shots. So that won't happen too many times.
Quentin stepped on the court tonight with 16 points with 10 in the first half. He's still leading the team in points, keeping up with his title of highest score points per game.
He gave us something early when we were bleeding to score. He got a couple layups. He made some free throws and kept us right in there. I thought he did a pretty good job.
They did a good job the whole game. The first half they guarded me toughly as well, but I just managed to get some shots.
Although this loss hurt the Owls' record, it's managed to motivate Rose and his teammates to correct their mistakes and continue to work on their offense moving forward.
Rose and the Owls still have a few games left before it gets real, with their conference opener on December 31st, UCF. Reporting from the desk, I'm Dion Stewart, and JJ, back to you.
Thanks, Dion. Joining Quentin Rose as captains this season are juniors Nate Pierre-Louis and J.P. Mormon II. Rose leads the bunch in scoring with 14.8 points per game, followed by NPL with 12.4, who also leads the team in rebounds per game at just below 9. J.P. Mormon outdoes the other captains in three-point percentage, hitting 33% of his threes. All three get it done on the defensive end as well, as they lead the team in total blocks this season.
And with a resume like Aaron McKie's, the athletic department decided to have a little fun. In a collaboration with Under Armour, the team wore throwback jerseys in the game against Missouri to pay tribute to the early 90s and Aaron McKie's playing days.
When you're in charge of your first Division I basketball team, records matter. Aaron McKie knows how to win. Whether it's winning the 6th Man of the Year award in 2000 or during the 1993 NCAA season when McKie helped take the Owls to the Elite Eight. In recognition of McKie's Temple days, the 2019 squad suited up in throwback uniforms for their Saturday night contest with Missouri.
It's the throwbacks.
Well, if they had the wearing the throwback uniforms and we were playing in McGonigal Hall, I think it would grab my attention a little bit more.
Despite the loss to Missouri, McKee's strong start at 6-2 is almost record-setting. The last coach at Temple to start with a better record was James Uselton Sr., who won 7 of his first 8 games way back in 1926.
Uselton, who coached the Owls up until his death in 1939, etched his name in record books just like these, posting a 205-79 career record with the Owls. He was the coach of the first NIT championship team. That's pretty good company for a guy like Aaron McKee.
As a head coach, you're not even, I didn't, somebody asked me about the uniforms and I had no idea what we was wearing, because that's not really my focus is to win basketball games.
Although the game was different back then and the pace of it has changed, the goal of winning games remains the same. There's a chance these uniforms might make a return before the season's end. On February 20th, the Owls will celebrate the early 2000s with the theme night.
And there's still plenty to go on this edition of OwlSports Update.
We return our OwlSports Updates. Paul Berg, is in the studio to talk lacrosse and its 6-game February homestand. Plus, women's basketball takes South Carolina down to the wire in one of the closest games of the year. OwlSports Update will be right back.
Fan and get McGonigal Hall rocking. Temple welcome is in the nationally ranked number 6 Carolina Gamecocks, and it wouldn't be a highlight reel without this superstar right here. Marissa Mackins is able to get the one-handed layup off as she falls to the ground. What a play right back to number 5, and this time she drains the 3. Mackins finished the night leading all scorers with a career-high 26 points. Second half score tied at 46. Micaiah Herbert-Harrigan steps in and blocks the shot to deny Temple. This is one of 7 block shots by the Gamecocks on the afternoon. Switching end of the courts, and Harrigan drains the 3. Maybe that'll put a smile on her face. She sends the Owls crowd home unhappy as Temple falls to South Carolina by a final score, 78-71.
The lacrosse team announced its schedule, and I can't seem to figure out why teams want to come to Philadelphia in February with the brutal temperatures.
Either way, Adam. Luckily, OwlSports Update's Paul Burke is in the studio to explain. Hey, Paul.
Thanks, guys. The lacrosse team doesn't hit the field until February 8th, but they don't hit the road until a month later. 12 of the team's 17 games will be played at Howarth Field, and the team can't be more excited.
Something the women's lacrosse team will be talking about a lot this season. The Owls' 2020 schedule is out, and there is a lot of home cooking. The Owls will take the field on North Broad 12 times this year, the most at home dating back to 2016.
The home environment's obviously nice because it's something we're comfortable with, and we know the field and our locker room, and we'll get to play our own warm-up mix.
The Owls will start the season with 6 straight home games at Temple Sports Complex, a venue that head coach Bonnie Rosen hopes is tougher for opponents this season. Last year, the Owls went just 1-6 at home, and they'll have to improve that record if they want a shot at the postseason.
No one comes into our facility and plays us, taking us lightly. So there's a lot of teams that will play that are really just kind of tough battles. We take great pride in being the best in the city, and so those are some of those opportunities that give us a chance to prove ourselves.
But the Owls are looking for more than just recognition within Philadelphia. They see games against nationally ranked teams from 2019, such as number 4 Princeton and number 17 Florida, as opportunities to make waves in the national landscape. But Temple hasn't beaten either team since 2010, when they defeated Princeton 14-12 at home.
Our plan is to build our game and be ready. Hopefully we'll have built the level of play and confidence and team connectivity by the time we get to Princeton to give them a really good run and see if we can make our mark on the national scene.
The last time the Owls earned a national ranking was back in 2016, when they won 9 of those 12 home games. The team will have to repeat that same sort of dominance at home if they want to succeed this season. Reporting from Plasma, I'm Paul Burke. Adam and JJ, back to you.
Thank you, Paul. Well, Adam, it's time to take our last break. of this semester.
That's right, JJ. But we're wrapping up the year 2019 and the decade with some of the best Temple moments. Join us on the other side in 90 seconds for Diamond Plays. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Well, JJ, it's that time of the week again, but this time we're putting a twist on Diamond Plays. This time we went back and picked the top 3 plays of the entire semester. We've got some good ones. Let's kick things off with this goal here from Esteban Suarez of the men's soccer team versus USF. Find the goal as you see here. Suarez is running towards the sidelines, and that's because his family made the trip up flying in from Mexico for the game. This was the only goal Suarez scored at the Temple Sports Complex this past season. Certainly a great moment for him and a great goal as well.
Well, Adam, it wouldn't be Diamond Plays without football, and you can't talk Temple football without mentioning the defense. With former coach Jeff Collins in town, Georgia Tech coughs up the ball, and Benny Walls is off to the races. Looking like Rudolph on a cloudy night guiding Santa's sleigh, the Sea of Temple Red erupts at the link for this scoop and score.
And coming in at number 1, we're going to finish where we started. Quentin Rose on the season opener with this posterizing slam against Drexel. Made ESPN Top 10 play honors as well. It's surely a highlight reel play for Q, and hopefully going into the next year, we'll see more of that from Q because he's certainly got this type of ability every single night he steps on the court. And although those plays were all great, we've got something better and someone bigger and better. There are just a handful of days left in the decade, so you probably know where we're going with this one.
For the final time on OwlSports Update, we welcome in OwlSports Update's Andrea Malizia, class of 2019.
Thanks, guys. You saw it on Twitter first. Now we're taking that hashtag Moments of the Decade and diving into the archives for Temple's biggest athletic achievements from 2010 through today. First up, we're going back to 2017 when the women's basketball team earned its first national ranking in a decade with 24 wins, good enough to advance them to the NCAA tournament where the Owls lost to Oregon in the first round. Next, taking it all the way back to the beginning of 2010, we've got men's basketball winning the A10 conference with 29 wins. The Owls were ranked 12th in the nation under Fran Dunphy in his 4th year as head coach. And the Owls locked in a bid to the NCAA tournament. The season ended when the Owls lost to Cornell in the first round in a 5-seed, 12-seed upset. Fast forward to Halloween 2015, who could forget? Temple had the pleasure of hosting ESPN's College Game Day. The Cherry and White took over Independence Hall alongside familiar faces Lee Corso and Reese Davis. Not to mention the Owls' 7-0 run that season before falling by just 4 points to Notre Dame later that day, with head coach Matt Rule roaming the sidelines. Honorable mentions include football's AAC win against number 25 Navy in 2016 and men's crew for winning the Dad Bale Regatta back in 2018. Head over to @OwlSportsUpdate on Twitter and vote for your favorite moments of the decade. Reporting from Plasma, I'm Andrea Malizia, class of 2019. Adam and JJ, back to you.
Well, before we say goodbye today, we want to thank our 3 seniors who are graduating later this month. We just saw Andrea.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea. There's our white team producer, Matt Daly, that we can't help but forget. And finally, we have to thank our senior producer, Erin Steffi, for everything she's done for OwlSports Update over the years. Everything you've seen on our shows goes back to the hard work people like Erin put in on a daily basis. She has certainly made her mark on the OSU community, and we and all of us here will no doubt remember her legacy and continue it on in the years to come, following her graduation on December 19th, JJ.
Well, from everyone here at OwlSports Update, have a safe and wonderful holiday season and a Happy New Year. But don't worry, my bad puns will be back in 2020, but for now, this one is officially over.